Good morning, traders. It is 6:28 a.m. on, what is today? Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. Welcome to my trading journal. This is the Jigsaw day trader platform. These are futures products. There are 5 different products here, moving from left to right. We have the Ultra Bond, symbol UB. We have the ZB, which is the 30-year. Right here in the middle is the 5-year. And then over here is the 10-year, that's symbol ZN. And then all the way over here on the right is the ES, symbol ES, which is the E-mini S&P 500. And it typically works as an inverse correlation to these products over here. So normally, quote unquote, when these products are going up, this is going down and vice versa. This is all trading on order flow. There are no charts here, no indicators, anything like that. This is all just watching the tape and reacting to buyers and sellers, to the activity we see in the depth of market. So let's look, we have 1 minute till cash opens, so we have a little bit of time here. Let's look quickly at the overnight. Let's see, what do we do overnight? Looks like it's going to be right in here, so we can kind of blow this out a little bit like this, like so. I just sort of went sideways. We spiked up, came back down, slumped down back to basically this volume profile, and right in there, and then we just sort of gone sideways ever since. We had, let's see, a little bit of data come out at 5:30. Where is that? Nope, it was 6 o'clock. We had the Case-Shiller, Core Logic, price index, and then we have new home sales coming out at 7 a.m. That could be a mover, and then we have consumer confidence coming out basically at the same time. So the two of those together could move markets. So we just had cash open, pretty muted thus far. I typically don't like to engage in the first 10 to 15 minutes of cash open, just because it's a time when these products over here use it as an excuse to blow through, specific areas that at one point meant something like this little taper in a other sort of context, different environment. That might mean something. Might still mean something now, but you just don't know. So it's too much like gambling for me. So they're using, apparently it looks like they're using this initial weakness in the E-mini here to blow through that little profile step. So areas of interest, overnight high is going to be one. Obviously the overnight low, those are always areas of interest. We like to see how price reacts at those levels. And otherwise it would be kind of maybe this taper here or that taper. We'll just see how things kind of unfold here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, what to work on is basically, it's the same thing. Just being patient, picking your spots. But with that said, I'm going to pause the video and we will crank it up again if there are any opportunities that pop up. So here we are up here at the overnight high. We got up here pretty pretty quick. Definitely a nice rush higher. You can see it in the 5-year. I've already cleared out the 10-year. But this is kind of where we were at open and just blasted higher. And that has a lot to do with a lot of weakness in the ES. Just sort of sold down on the open. Been open for about 20 minutes now. Sometimes, I'm not going to say normally, but sometimes when you get this big rush higher, you can get a similar sort of sell down. You get the spike higher, then basically the liquidation of all those buyers to the downside. With that said, we did pause pretty significantly right here at the overnight high, but I'm just sort of watching it. Just to see if sellers do step up. Get some pushback already. This offer isn't really real. When they traded up into it, it dropped to about 3,000, which is similar to the rest of these. And then it beefed back up once we drop back in. So that could be some spoofing going on there. Got some decent amount of volume print here at 4.5. As sellers tried to absorb some of the buying that was happening, but buyers ended up pushing through it. So we'll see. We do get a couple ticks push back, and then it comes back up to the overnight high, and we get sellers to step up again. That might be the indication to enter there. Got a little bit more size on the bids and offers in comparison to the last couple of weeks. So we're at 4,000, 4 and 3,000, a couple of 5,000s. So that's good. The market's starting to thicken up a little bit. So we got a little bit of pushback here. That's a good sign. See if the ES can drop in again. We get this, the 10-year to pop back up. And then we can look at maybe jumping in for a sell opportunity. We also have some data coming out at 7 a.m., which is 7 minutes from now. That could be a mover in the market. So to be honest, I really don't see engaging until that time. So I'll probably just pause the video at this point. I mean, I'm gonna let it run for at least 10 to 15 minutes. So there's no sense just having it run. So I'll just go ahead and pause the video until after the data comes out. So we're back up here to the overnight high. You can see where the push down to 4 even. And then we just pumped right back up. I'm going to clear out some of this stuff out of here. In fact, let's just even all this out. Let's see, it looks like ideally we'd want ES to drop all the way back in, form a nice little double bottom, and then bolt up higher. And during that time, we want to see sellers hold this level. And then as the ES goes up, obviously this would sell back down. So that's the ideal setup at this point. Some buyers are pretty aggressive. See, that's exactly how you want to see a key level taken out. So it's just, there's no doubt about it. There's no back and forth. They just mean business. They're going to blow right through it. And the decision's basically been made for you at that point. So then what we want to see here is for this to push up several ticks above the overnight high, which would act as support for a pullback. If it doesn't push through more than just a tick or two, then sellers could be successful in pushing this thing back down. So we got about 2 ticks through, and sellers stepped up pretty heavy here. They started to absorb here right at 6.5, and then they turned around and sold it right back down pretty aggressively. Like I said, I'd like to see this blow through several more ticks and then come back down, because you don't know if the overnight high is going to act as support at this point for a move higher, or if sellers are just going to sell this right back through. Keep an eye on this number here. See if sellers can just absorb any sort of buying that happens. Could be a good indication. So just hoping to basically hoping the ES does a double bottom, buyer step up there, push this down, and then sellers react to that over here in the 10-year and start stepping up and slamming this thing back down. Just going to move my stop down simply because if this thing does blow right through me, then I want to minimize losses. That's kind of what one of these trades is. That's what this trade is. It's just basically kind of taking a shot. So if it doesn't work out, no big deal. All right, well, stopped out. That didn't work. That's okay. I'm all right with that. What I won't be all right with is this thing just turns around and sells right back down, because that would suck. But yeah, I think that was a legit trade. We saw some absorption happen over here, and then buyer stepped up, or excuse me, seller stepped up. Tried to push it back down. ES just would not cooperate. Too weak. It is what it is. You win some, you lose some. Just minimize those losses. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, they pushed that back. I got stopped out up here at 7.5. I was part of this 92. And we're right back in the game, basically where we were before. It's a little frustrating. So ideally, if you are wrong, you want to get just blown right through you. Not too much, because you don't want to get slipped. But you do want it to trade, you know, go bid at, if you're short, you want it to go bid at your level and trade through your level, obviously. But just ticking in, basically, just enough to stop you out is really frustrating. Oh, this sucks. Oh, boy. Try to get back in, I guess. I don't know if that was the right move. It felt like the right move in the instant, but in hindsight, now that I'm looking at it, that's just could be the pullback to support for the move higher. So I might have been just suckered right there. Gonna need to ES to catch a bid here to kind of bail us out. Otherwise, it could be a bit of a trend day we're looking at. Keep an eye on this level because this is where support's going to be at 6 and 5/2. We need the ES to get through up through the VWAP up over 45 in order to be serious. Until then, it's kind of a precarious situation. Got to get through this level. Gotta get through here. This is the key. If we get down into 5 or 4.5, I think this sells all the way back down. Wow, ES can't even get through the first area of resistance, which is 41. I figured they'd blow right through that and get up into 45, but I suppose not. Keep pushing, got to get through 5.5. That's basically the key level at this point. I like that the ZN is responding to the ES. With every push higher, it seems to be selling down a little bit more. If we can just get through this level as the ES pushes up here, I don't care if it comes back in, because I think that basically a key support level is kind of going to be busted at that point. And we'll at least get a little bit of follow through in the selling. Still got to get through it. We're still at basically what would be support for a trend day. I kind of want, I mean, as the ES drops back in, I want sellers to hold this back down. They did a really good job of pushing this through. They're starting to already get some pushback, which is good. But we definitely, I think we pushed through enough of the support, I feel like anyway, that hopefully this is just buying based on the weakness in the ES. And if we get another push, some responsive buying off the lows there, over here, that'll help to push this, continue to push this down. And my strategy of letting it breathe and giving it some space is good, and not, you know, overreacting and closing out, covering my position after just 3 ticks. But that's always, you know, I've said it before, that's the trickiest part of trading, is figuring out when to cover, how much to cover, so on and so forth. We do have some volume that traded here previously. I don't know if that's indicative of anything. If you had a bunch of people that were trying to hold down the market and are trying to unwind their short positions there, it could turn this into, you know, a move higher, obviously. If the ES obviously breaks lows and continues farther down, then this might, could trade all the way back up through me. Which would be a real bummer. ES just looks really, really weak today. It's tough not to just cover this right here. And the option would be to cover this here. And then if it does get back up, just sell it back down. What I don't really want to do, I mean, obviously you want to preserve your capital, but you don't want to let this trade all the way back up and just stop you out of break even. And then have to sell it again. You know. Jesus fuck. If it gets back up here, I'll look at maybe it's selling it back down. To be honest, I'm just incredibly exhausted today, and I just don't really have the temperament for this. I'm trying to let things play out, be patient, but just not feeling it today. Should probably listen to myself and my body and just do something else. So anyway, I'm gonna pause this, and if it gets back up here to the current high and I see sellers step up, or if it gets back up here, I'll restart the video. So we're back up here where we were previously. It's about 7:50 a.m. So far they haven't really gone for 65 or six half. Well, paid up. Just hoping 6 half holds again, and the ES catches a bid. Really didn't have much to go on there. Excuse me. Just 0 pushback so far. Not good. Pretty much right at support for the ES. If there were going to be any sort of support, it would be right here at about 35. Maybe that's why we've seen kind of a lack of exuberance from buyers thus far in the 10-year. That said, if the ES gets through, you know, down to 29.30, then that could spell lots of trouble. That's not good. If buyers are going to take it through and make new highs, that's kind of how they're going to do it right there. So we might be fucked again. Stopped out twice at 07 half. All right, I'm done with this shit.